asanas, pain, and samskaras. The next step in yoga after the yamas and niyamas is asanas, which is where most people begin their journey with yoga. Often, a dissatisfaction with the state of their body drives individuals to practice asanas. However, the reason is not as important. There are no high or low reasons as long as one practices with dedication. The reasons always lie in the past, while the practice is firmly in the present. Of course, following the principles of yama and niyama can help avoid many mistakes and sufferings, but starting to practice any of the stages of yoga is far better than merely contemplating the correctness of their sequence. The world is as it is, and if people initially see yoga as a form of fitness, they have every right to do so. Regular practice of asanas indeed strengthens muscles, improves posture, increases joint flexibility, stimulates the internal organs, and enhances the functioning of the digestive, cardiovascular, and endocrine systems. This leads to overall health improvement, which in turn serves as a wonderful motivation to continue practicing. Speaking of another motivational aspect, it's worth mentioning a fairly popular opinion found in comments on Patanjali's sutras, which states that performing all asanas is necessary for a yogin to be able to comfortably remain in Padmasana, or the lotus pose, with a straight spine for an extended period. This is largely true, but it is important to understand that remaining in a still position is essential for developing the skill of concentration. The yogin first realizes that deep focus stops the internal dialogue and then learns to apply this skill at will. Subsequently, it is desirable for the yogin to maintain awareness daily for as long as possible, as this allows them to practice while fulfilling their social functions. The yogin practices for the entire world, of which they are a part. Constantly sitting in one place means that interaction with the world cannot be complete, so it is unnecessary to become overly attached to achieving perfection in any single asana. The primary criterion for an asana, as described by Patanjali in his sutras, is sthira sukham asanam, meaning a stable and comfortable pose. Once this criterion is met, there is no need for any additional motivation. If performing asanas brings you joy in itself, no further motivation is needed. When the practice is comfortable and pleasant, the desire to do asanas every day arises naturally. Of course, forming a habit takes some time, and at this stage, practices of tapas and brahmacharya, willpower training, and the sublimation of sexual desire help overcome the inevitable discomfort experienced during training. But pain is not only an obstacle, it also serves as an internal compass, helping to determine which avanas deserve more attention. Hatha yoga, in all its forms, is a well-balanced system of exercises that has stood the test of time and been tried and tested by millions of people. However, people come to yoga at different ages and in different physical conditions. Some have flexible bodies that respond well to training, while others have developed a lot of stiffness and gained excess weight. An experienced instructor can help with proper alignment of asanas and correcting mistakes that could lead to injury, but they observe from the outside and don't know exactly how you feel on the inside. And it is your own pain that tells you where to be more careful and which exercises to focus on to release those tight spots. You shouldn't neglect classes with a trainer, especially at the beginning of your yoga journey. They help, offer guidance, and direct you, but you perform the asanas yourself. Moreover, after some time as a student, you will inevitably need to become your own trainer so that you can practice anywhere, whenever you want. After all, you don't need any equipment for this. You cannot rely on others forever when it comes to your body. You are a yogi, and you experience the world through your senses, which is a very significant part of your existence. When discussing our existence, we typically use a conditional division between internal and external sensations. We classify external sensations as vision, the most detailed information channel, which could be roughly estimated to transmit anywhere from tens to hundreds of megabytes per second, less detailed hearing, which ranges from a few to several tens of megabytes, touch, which could also be very roughly estimated at a few hundred kilobytes, and smell, which conveys a limited set of significant scents to the brain, roughly equivalent to several tens of kilobytes per second. When it comes to internal sensations, making a similar analogy with megabyte estimates is even more challenging. They are better likened to the continuous monitoring of numerous biochemical and physiological parameters managed by the interoceptive system. Its peripheral receptors, interoreceptors, are located in internal organs, blood vessels, muscles, joints, and within our brain, responding to various stimuli such as changes in glucose, oxygen, carbon dioxide levels, as well as hormones, blood pressure, and internal body temperature. Signals from these receptors are transmitted to the central nervous system, where primary processing of certain reflexes occurs in the spinal cord, and signal integration from various organs happens in the brainstem. The limbic system, which includes the amygdala and hippocampus, connects interoceptive signals with emotions, memory, and motivation. This is why physiological states, like an increased heart rate due to fear, are so closely intertwined with our emotional experiences. All this data, after being integrated with sensory information, forms our subjective experience, which we refer to as being in the body. The brain continuously calibrates and interprets these signals, taking into account previous experiences and context. This is what we call our internal sensations. They lack the vivid palette of colors that vision provides, and it is much harder to accurately convey to others the specific pain and tension we feel in our bodies than to describe what our eyes see. Therefore, guided by these sensations, we each build our personal practice of asanas. In turn, asanas are an effective way to enhance the functioning of the interoceptive system, increasing our sensitivity. For example, twists like Ardha Matsyendrasana create compression and stretch in the abdominal and pelvic areas, squeezing blood from certain parts of the organs, such as the intestines, and facilitating the flow of fresh blood to them after exiting the pose. This stimulates peristalsis, improves circulation in the abdominal organs, and engages the spleen and pancreas. The compression and subsequent stretching of the organs send powerful signals through the autonomic nerves to the brain, enhancing sensitivity to signals from the gastrointestinal tract and improving their interpretation. Forward bends, for instance, exert pressure on the abdominal cavity, enhancing circulation in the organs, gently massaging the intestines, and stimulating the diaphragm, which promotes deeper breathing. Back bends stretch the front of the body and compress the back, stimulating the organs in the chest and abdomen, facilitating the opening of the rib cage and improving respiratory function. Stretching the muscles of the back and abdomen activates the parasympathetic nervous system during deep breathing. Inverted poses change the direction of blood flow and exert pressure on various organs, thereby improving venous drainage and stimulating the lymphatic system by altering pressure in the vessels. Changes in gravitational load send powerful signals to the brain regarding balance, circulation, and pressure, aiding the body in adapting to various conditions. Holding asanas for an extended period allows you to feel more deeply how your muscles and ligaments are working, as well as subtle changes in your breathing and internal sensations. This helps develop the ability to notice and understand your body's internal signals. Asanas significantly improve proprioception, that is, the sense of the body's position in space, and kinesthesia, the sense of movement. These two types of sensitivity help the brain form a holistic picture of the body. The better we understand the position and movement of our limbs, the better we can integrate this information with signals from our internal organs. In turn, When you regularly train your body to sense internal signals, perceive the position of your limbs, and control your movements, the brain becomes more attuned to sensory information as a whole. It learns to be more attentive to any signals. Improving interoception, proprioception, and kinesthesia creates a more reliable foundation for processing all sensory information. The brain receives higher quality input, which allows it to work more efficiently, react faster, interpret signals more accurately, and ultimately, interact better with the outside world. It's a kind of upgrade to your sensory system, which manifests as improved coordination, attentiveness, balance, and a general sense of connection with your body and the surrounding space. Asanas are also crucial for overcoming gross samskaras, imprints left by past experiences that shape our habits, reactions, and even the structure of our bodies. Gross sthula samskaras are those that manifest physically as tension, blockages, and automatic bodily responses. The most fundamental form of resistance is tamas, which appears as heaviness in the body, reluctance to move, constant drowsiness, and a foggy mind. Dynamic practices such as Surya Namaskar and strength poses ignite the inner fire, training the will. This disrupts the mind's habit of passivity and teaches the system to generate energy rather than just consume it. Another gross samskara is the shell or fear contraction samskara, which manifests physically as tight hips, raised shoulders, and a retracted neck. This ancient instinct to curl up into a ball can become chronic over time. Poses that open the pelvis and deep back bends literally stretch the tissues where fear is stored. When we open the chest, we go against the self-protective samskara, training the mind in openness and trust. The next gross samskara is the suppression of anger and control. Anger often accumulates in the jaws, neck, and areas of the liver or solar plexus. Twists act as a gentle massage for the internal organs, squeezing out accumulated tension. Balancing asanas require letting go of excessive control, as a rigid body falls faster than a relaxed and centered one. The samskara of restlessness and impatience is the mind's habit of constantly racing ahead, an inability to stay in the moment. On a bodily level, this manifests as jerky movements, an inability to hold a pose for long, or difficulty breathing deeply. Prolonged fixation in poses, especially inversions or forward bends, forces the nervous system to switch from fight or flight mode to a state of observation. We teach the body and mind to remain calm in discomfort. There is almost always an equation between discomfort and pain. Pain, whether psychological or physical, is an indicator that reality has collided with the track of samskara. When an external stimulus hits the area of a gross samskara, such as the fear of rejection, suffering, or pain, arises. From the brain's perspective, pain is a high priority signal. By acknowledging it, the amygdala, or fear center, and the anterior cingulate cortex create a disruption in all ongoing cognitive processes. In yoga, this is referred to as the formation of a whirlpool of vritti. A gross samskara creates such a powerful emotional well that the attention of chitta cannot escape it. Pain acts as an anchor. It keeps attention focused on one point, preventing the awareness of other aspects of reality. Asanas work with gross samskaras through conscious pain management, transforming it from a distraction into a tool for liberation. Gross samskaras are stored in the body as a muscular armor or blockages. Asana creates physical pressure or tension in these areas. When entering a deep pose, you literally tread upon the samskara. Discomfort or controlled pain surfaces. This signals that the mental imprint has been activated at the physical level. Typically, pain intercepts attention priority and triggers an automatic response to contract or run away. By voluntarily remaining in the zone of discomfort, We train the nervous system to understand that pain is merely information, not a reason for automatic stress. Working with pain is one of the main reasons why the practice of asanas takes so much time. Fascia, the connective tissue, adapts much more slowly than muscles. To release deep tension that has built up over years, it takes not just stretching, but sustained effort. If you force the process, trying to push through the pain with brute force, a protective contraction reflex kicks in, which only reinforces the samskara. Time is needed for the tissues to trust that it is safe and begin the process of restructuring. You need to enter the discomfort zone thousands of times and remain there calmly so that the brain stops identifying this state as a threat. This is not only physical training, but also retraining of neural networks. It takes years of regular repetition to turn off the fear response to a specific block. However, these years of training simultaneously help prepare all your systems for a deeper and more sustained practice of mindfulness. In addition, you receive a number of very pleasant bonuses. Your body becomes more beautiful, which allows you to avoid getting distracted by various frustrating thoughts. And most importantly, you gain better health, which allows you to better fulfill your social roles. With a solid foundation in the form of a strong body, you can steadily move on to the next stages of yoga.